Now that we have set up our computer with the different softwares and have looked at Node.js, looked at the console on the browser, and also done the setup, now let's start getting the foundation of JavaScript. Now, if you're learning any language, whether it be a human language like English, Urdu, or Arabic, or a programming language like Java or JavaScript or Ruby or Python, doesn't matter what it is, there are some fundamental foundations on which everything is built. For JavaScript, it's called the types. So these are on our cheat sheet over here, which if you scroll down to this lesson, to the very bottom, there will be links so you can actually download these cheat sheets. So the first thing that you need to recognize are the types on which everything else is built. If you're coming from a different programming language, you may be like, oh, I understand all these concepts, these are basic. But I insist that you be patient and follow along with me on these basics that you are calling, which they are basic. But the foundation is very important because all of these other concepts actually build on top of this. So this is very important, so do not skip it. So I'm simply going to zoom in this particular cheat sheet over here, and we're going to focus on the first section, which is the 7 types in JavaScript. So zoom in over here, and I'm going to actually put this on one side and open our console over here. So there we have it. We are in our browser, and we're going to test these things out. So I'm going to clear my console, and first of all, let's look at the first type in JavaScript. It's called a string. A string is simply any kind of text, whether it be symbols, alphabets, characters, any kind of characters, numbers, whatever it is, as long as it's inside double quotes or single quotes, it's actually a string. So I'm going to write it over here. I'm going to simply put in single quotes, and I'm going to say, my name is Aziz, comma, 123, comma, dollar sign, hash sign, percentage sign, whatever I want, I can write over here, right? And hit enter, and this is basically a string in JavaScript. It can be any much long, any much short, but it's a string as long as it's inside single quotes or double quotes, all right? Now, when I enter this information, the console returns the same value. So whenever I'm typing over here, so let's say I'm typing something else and hit enter, it just basically returns whatever I wrote. We're going to look at what it's doing in the later video, but for now, that's what we're doing. Just want to tell you that why you're seeing this twice. The second thing, I'm going to not clear it right now, but I'm going to start writing a number. Now, if you're coming from a different language, a lot of different programming languages have different kinds of numbers. They have something called a double, floating point, integers, and some other ones as well. In JavaScript, for simplicity and power, JavaScript only has one kind of number, which is actually called number. So in that case, you can actually represent any kind of number, whether it be an integer without decimal points or 1, 2, 3 point, some kind of decimal places like 50 or 1, 2, 3 dot whatever value. So I'm going to write in 1, 2, 3, whatever number I want to type in, I can. It can be a negative value, so 0, or a positive 0. So I can just call it plus 0 or minus 0. Or it can be, let's say, negative 0 point, whatever number, right? So you can represent any kind of number in just the number data type in JavaScript. Now you recognize if I was typing it over here, the strings were in a different color and the numbers were in different color. And the strings again are in quotes and the numbers are not. So again, these are just types in JavaScript so that the JavaScript engine can recognize these formats and attach its power to it. Okay, I'm going to clear this out. And now let's move on to the third type, which is actually very important and slightly different than what we are used to as humans. This type is called the Boolean value. Boolean simply means true or false. That's all it means. Those are the only two types it has. So if I type in over here in my console true, you see it was in a different color and it returned the true value. So if you write true like this, the JavaScript engine recognizes that this is not a number, it's not a string because it's not inside quotes, and it doesn't look like any number. So it knows if it's written like this, true, it is actually a Boolean value. Same with false. So if I write it false, it knows it's a Boolean value. One thing to recognize that whenever I'm writing any kind of code, it's case sensitive, meaning that if I write T as lowercase or uppercase, whatever I write, that's what I'm writing. If you write it differently, so if I make this TRUE with T being capital, and I'm going to now hit enter, it's going to say uncaught reference error, meaning the JavaScript engine is not recognizing what this word is. It says true, this true with a capital T is not defined. That means that the JavaScript engine does not recognize what this thing is. Because again, remember that a JavaScript engine or any kind of programming language or the computer is extremely dumb. It is not smart. It only knows what it knows, right? It doesn't recognize anything more than what it knows. So it does not recognize what true with a capital T is. So always be careful when writing your code. It needs to be case sensitive.